Grand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. And JN Money.
From abroad to yard.
Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctor's Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctor's Hospital. Always there for you. Call 949-6066. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Kirk Market. Experience a world of choice. And the Cayman Islands National Museum. Explore captivating exhibits and learn about our unique heritage and culture.
At this time, we take you live to Cayman Brac for the record. OC standing by. OC, Mr. Connor.
We ask our listeners and viewers to avoid any statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use indecent language or make any statement that is false or misleading. Call 1-800-534-8255.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Live from Cayman Brac. First of all, let us apologize for the late start. Had some technical glitches, getting them solved as well. So we're going to have some very, very brief comments before we go to our 8 o'clock news. Of course, when we return from our 8 o'clock news, we will have Mr. Lonny Tibbetts, the candidate for Cayman Brac West and Little Cayman, in the studio with us. He will be with us until about 9 o'clock, and then we will have the leader of the Cayman Islands National Party, Mr. Dan Scott, as well as Mr. Nikolas DaCosta, who's the candidate for Cayman Brac West and Little Cayman for the Cayman Islands National Party as well. Meanwhile, welcome to the beautiful Cayman Brac. We had a few birthday shout-outs this morning as well. And to very quickly remind you that for the record birthday shout-outs brought to you by Coca-Cola, who are proud to support your birthday shout-outs. Coca-Cola available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga wholesalers. You should accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. And Yum. Daily school lunch menus are available to browse on the Yum website. Just visit yumcayman.ky for more information. We also had one birthday shout out this morning. Let's share that with you. In relation to birthday shout out. So we see that on Monday, Richard Parsons celebrating his birthday, Jay Gibbs, Simone Watson on the 21st, Simon Watson on the 21st, Mickey Henry on the 21st, Michelle LeMay on the 21st as well. And we also have someone wanting to, yes, here we go. Birthday greetings for tomorrow for Haneke. And it says that we should wish her happy birthday coming from her dad as well. I believe that is it. So with those words, we're going to ask you, don't change that dial. Please stay tuned for the record. Broadcasting directly from Cayman Brac will be back immediately after our 8 o'clock news.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. And studio time now is 2 minutes past 8, brought to you with the kind compliments of Foster's.
Tibbetts. Make Foster's part of your tradition this year with our full holiday feast.
For $94.99, you can feed up to 8 with a full meal. Order online, pick up in store.
Choose your main from our 12-hour smoked pork, oven-roasted turkey, or maple-glazed ham.
Or indulge your guests with our extra special herb-roasted leg of lamb feast or a 7-pound fried snapper for $119.99.
Order your full Easter feast online today at fosters.ky.
Foster's, better because we care.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. It's a guilty plea for a woman busted for drugs. Mayra Bodden was scheduled to stand trial on Tuesday in summary court on 2 counts of cocaine possession with intent to supply. However, after legal arguments, she pled guilty to both charges. She's set to return in June for sentencing. It's a satisfactory judgment for West Bay Early Year Center Quality Childcare. Office of Education Standards inspectors visited the school in March, seeing what improvements have been made since the last inspection back in November 2022, when the school was also judged as satisfactory. At the time of the visit, Quality Childcare had 59 kids on roll between the ages of 18 months and 5 years. Inspectors say the curriculum is broad and balanced. The setting has meaningful links with parents and the community, and the center is, quote, inclusive, with well-structured systems in place to support children with additional learning support needs. Going forward, the OES recommends Quality Childcare improve systems for self-evaluation to ensure the work is, quote, strategically planned and its impact on children's outcomes is regularly evaluated for continuous improvement. Develop a strong and effective model of distributed leadership that empowers staff and enhances overall management at the center. And finally, maintain consistently high-quality teaching across the setting to, quote, support good learning and development for all children. You can find the full report online at oes.gov.ky. Cayman is one step closer to being a poop-free paradise with the recent installation of 21 dog waste bins at key public locations across Grand Cayman.
At the Department of Agriculture, we are committed to promoting responsible dog ownership, animal care, and public safety, aligning with our long-term vision of a sustainable and healthy Cayman Islands.
Department of Agriculture Director Brian Critchlow tells Radio Cayman you'll find the waste bins at high-traffic dog walking areas, such as the South Sound Boardwalk and 7 Mile Public Beach, among others. He says the bins will help dog owners properly dispose of waste, quote, ensuring a cleaner and healthier Cayman for residents and visitors.
We urge dog owners to take full advantage of these facilities and help us protect our public spaces for future generations.
For a full list of bin locations, you can email reportanimalcruelty@gov.ky. Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, which takes us out of the newscast. I'm Carsley Fuller.
BBC News with Danielle Yawowiecka. The UK Supreme Court has ruled that the legal definition of a woman is based on biological sex. The case was brought by women's rights campaigners. They challenged the Scottish Government's interpretation of conflicting legislation on transgender women. The judges said transgender people would not be disadvantaged by their ruling. Iran insists it has a non-negotiable right to continue enriching uranium for its nuclear program. Tehran is due to hold a second round of talks with the US on Saturday. President Trump has threatened to bomb Iran if it tries to develop nuclear weapons. German prosecutors have charged a doctor in Berlin with the murder of 15 of his patients using a cocktail of lethal drugs. They accuse him of acting out a lust for killing. China has admitted that President Trump's tariffs will put pressure on its economy, but said its long-term outlook was strong. The White House now says import duties on Chinese goods stand at up to 245%, but gave no details. Member states of the World Health Organization have agreed on the text of a treaty designed to strengthen collaboration on any future pandemic. It's the culmination of negotiations following COVID-19, but it's been overshadowed by the US withdrawal from the WHO. Palestinian medical officials say at least 24 people have been killed in the latest Israeli strikes across Gaza. The medical charity MSF has described the territory as a mass grave for Palestinians. Interpol has joined the investigation into an alleged $900 million fraud involving the Nigerian digital investment platform CryptoBank Exchange. Investors were locked out of their accounts on Monday ahead of the platform's collapse. Police in Australia have charged a Swedish teenager with using encrypted apps to plan overseas contract killings. They say he was working for a transnational criminal syndicate. The boy, who's 15, was arrested in Sydney. BBC News.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Buttontown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin are the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Buttontown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman with the latest up-to-date, accurate news and information. For your convenience, the headline news will be repeated on our sister station, Breeze 105.3 FM, weekdays at 8:30 a.m. Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or download the Radio Cayman app in the App Store or log on to www.radiocayman.gov.ky and stay connected to what's happening in the community. Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman is proud to continue to serve our island community. During the last Lionistic year, they successfully carried out community projects like the Prostate and Colon Cancer Awareness Campaign, site screenings, spelling bees, swim meets, and their community food pantry. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman looks forward to continuing their service during the 2024-2025 Lionistic year and for many more years to come. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman. Where there's a need, there's a lion, serving the community for over 50 years.
Big decisions need real data. Before we vote on April 30th, we deserve to know the full picture.
The last cruise pier proposal would have cost us $400 million, and that was in 2019. Today, construction costs are even higher. Who pays? Not the cruise lines. They profit from onboard shopping and exclusive partnerships, keeping most of what passengers spend. Meanwhile, Caymanian businesses see a shrinking share of cruise revenue. Before we take on a project of this scale, we need to ensure it benefits us. Vote no on April 30th.
Caymanians should benefit from our tourism, not cruise corporations. Vote no to cruise berthing infrastructure.
The 8 a.m. weather update brought to you by CG Britcade, where people come first.
Good morning. Let's take a look at the latest weather report. Current temperature is 81 degrees. Relative humidity is 77%. The barometric pressure is 29.99 inches and rising. The wind is northeast at 8 knots. Overnight low was 73 degrees. Synopsis indicate light to moderate winds and seas can be expected to prevail through the next 24 hours in association with a ridge of high pressure building across the northwest Caribbean. Radar images show a few showers, mostly south of the Cayman area, moving towards the south. Now the forecast for the Cayman Islands for today, calling for partly cloudy skies with a 20% chance of showers this morning. Temperatures will be in the low to mid 80s. Winds will be northeast at 10 to 15 knots. Seas will be slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. Tonight, fair skies with less than a 20% chance of showers and temperatures falling to the low 70s tonight. Your winds will be north to northeast at 5 to 10 knots and seas will be slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet as well. Today's high tide will occur this morning at 10 minutes past 10. Low tide this afternoon at 4:52. The sun will set this evening at 6:42 and will rise tomorrow morning at 7 minutes past 6. And the outlook is calling for continued increase in winds and seas through Saturday. as the area of high pressure continues to build near the western Atlantic. A small craft advisory is expected to be issued from Friday morning, with a small craft warning for Saturday. And that's the very latest on your weather report.
Mommy, why can't dogs talk? Why do I have to go to school and you don't? Why do you sing in the morning when you're bad at it? Why don't you brush your teeth when you take me to school? Why doesn't it ever snow here? Why does Daddy take the bus to work? Why are trees so tall? Why don't you tell me where babies come from? Mommy, Mommy, Mommy!
We're like a kid that doesn't ask a million questions before noon. CG Britke. Good like that.
The 8 a.m. weather update brought to you by CG Britke, where people come first.
I hope you're ready for change, because I know I am. Cayman ranking. Ah, yeah. Foot. Born and raised, Cayman strong. Northward roots where I belong. Cayman ranking is the way to vote. Ranking. Cayman ranking. We need. Ranking. Cayman ranking. We need. Ranking is the medicine that Cayman needs right now. That Cayman needs right now. The future of Bontown West is in your hands. The time for change is now.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the People's Station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach. The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Enjoy a delicious start to your day with breakfast from Subway.
Good morning again. Let's take a look this time at what's happening on the roads. Coming from the east on Shamrock Road and Rex Crichton Boulevard, traffic is flowing moderately in both directions. Also on the Linford Pearson Highway, steady traffic coming off of Bobby Thompson Way. And traffic is steady coming off of the Lonny Tibbetts Highway. On the West Bay Road in front of the Ritz, traffic is moving on moderately in both directions. No issues on Owen Roberts Drive as traffic is light to moderate, as well as coming from the West Bay 4-way stop. Edward Street flowing pretty good, and into Georgetown looking good as well. And on Industrial Park area, expect moderate flow of traffic. And that's what's happening on your roads. Join us again at about 10 minutes past 12. We'll give you another look at traffic. Remember, click it or ticket.
Feeding a crowd? Subway Catering makes it easy. Choose from freshly made sub and wrap platters in 2 sizes, or go for individual boxed meals, complete with a 6-inch sub, cookie, and chips. Perfect for groups of 15 or more. And don't forget dessert. Our freshly baked cookie platters come in 2 sizes, so there's always enough to go around. Visit www.subway.ky to view our catering menu. You can call or email us to place your order. Then choose to pick up in-store or get hassle-free delivery. However you cater, we've got the fresh flavors everyone loves. Subway. Eat fresh. Cater with ease.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Enjoy a delicious start to your day with breakfast from Subway.
Shipping to the Cayman Islands is fast, reliable, and seamless thanks to Cayman Airways Cargo. Need it faster than ocean freight? Cayman Airways Cargo offers multiple cargo flights to Grand Cayman from Miami weekly, so your packages, whether big, small, or in between, will arrive in no time. You can even use a Cayman Airways Cargo US address for your online shopping. Cayman Airways Cargo is also the only carrier providing air freight services for Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Contact us today and see why Cayman Airways Cargo was voted as Cayman's best cargo and logistics company in the Best of Cayman Awards. For details, visit CaymanAirways.com/cargo.
Big decisions need real data. Before we vote on April 30th, we deserve to know the full picture.
When cruise passengers spend money, who really benefits? Cruise lines keep up to 70% of passenger spending through onboard shopping, cruise-owned tours, and exclusive port deals. That means less money for Cayman's local businesses, tour operators, and workers. A cruise berthing facility doesn't change that. It only strengthens the cruise line's control while Cayman carries the cost. Let's keep our economy working for us. Vote no on April 30th.
Cayman's tourism should serve Caymanians first. Vote no to cruise berthing infrastructure.
Social media, X, formerly Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Interact with our talk shows on YouTube. Download our official Radio Cayman app, or you can log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky. You can also add us to WhatsApp
on 925-3261.
All the latest information, breaking news, community events, and more. Radio Cayman.
Shipping to the Cayman Islands is fast, reliable, and seamless thanks to Cayman Airways Cargo. Need it faster than ocean freight? Cayman Airways Cargo offers multiple cargo flights to Grand Cayman from Miami weekly, so your packages, whether big, small, or in between, will arrive in no time. You can even use a Cayman Airways Cargo US address for your online shopping. Cayman Airways Cargo is also the only carrier providing air freight services for Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Contact us today and see why Cayman Airways Cargo was voted as Cayman's best cargo and logistics company in the Best of Cayman Awards. For details, visit CaymanAirways.com/cargo.
For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record, broadcasting live from the beautiful Cayman Brac. Our apologies for the late start. Had some technical difficulties. What they talk about, Murphy's Law last night. Dean was right here setting everything up until 10 o'clock last night. Left, everything was perfect. 6:45 this morning, back in here. Everything is working perfectly. And just before 7:30, wham, everything went. But not to worry, we're going to make up for what we lost. Going back to the birthday shout-outs, just to say that Hanneke was celebrating her birthday on the 17th of April, tomorrow, wishing her God's richest blessings, hoping that she lives to see many, many more. Love you, Hanneke. Birthday greetings coming from Dad as well. And just to remind you, and I shared this yesterday on Talk Today, for the residents of Little Cayman Health Center Physician Clinic for April 16th canceled. That is today. So it reads that please be advised that the Physicians Clinic at the Little Cayman Health Center for Wednesday the 16th of April 2025 has been canceled. Physicians Clinic will resume on Wednesday, the 23rd of April, 2025. To make an appointment, please call 949-8600 or email info@hsa.ky. And, of course, the Health Services Authority, they apologize for any inconvenience that this may have caused. So being right here on the Brac, wanted to make sure that we got that message over to the people in Little Cayman. With that said, it is my pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning none other than Mr. Lonny Tibbetts, who is seeking to represent the constituency of Cayman Brac West and Little Cayman in our upcoming April 30th general elections. Mr. Tibbetts, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. And I would say that this morning's event, not, no fault of our own, but speaks loudly and makes a strong argument for a permanent presence of Radio Cayman in Cayman Brac. Good morning, sir. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, O.C. Good to be here and great to see you in the Brac, my friend. Yes, this is, as it goes, Murphy's Law always wins. But I'm happy to be here. I welcome you and your team to the Brac. As we're not televised today, I'd just like to let the radio listeners know that OC was, I presented him with an official hardle braid this morning.
Yes.
The true symbol of Cayman Brac visit. And I'm very pleased that you're here. As you can appreciate, we're into what I would consider the last furlong of this journey, and it's been a very interesting one. Today, once I complete the radio show, I also plan to visit a number of my constituents throughout their homes and stuff in the day, and continue to meet with them. More so. To let them know I'm here. You know, it's a, if given this opportunity, if given the chance to represent Cayman Brac, West and Little Cayman, it is not a post, it is a responsibility. And I certainly don't want, you know, anyone to ever think that we are not bonded. We are all Brackers. I'm very proud to be part of a large contingency of candidates vying for spots in the upcoming election to represent Little Cayman and Cayman Brac, and both Cayman Brac East and Cayman Brac West. And as we get nearer and nearer to the penultimate date, whilst there's great efforts in separation and different perspectives, I can safely say that there is not one of us in this race that is not genuinely in love with our two islands. And you can now see and feel the green. I know you experienced a lot of traffic this morning, OC, coming in. Not like my adventure in Grand Cayman. You know, the first morning I came there, I had to go through, you know, I went through the normal road and said, wait a minute. I got to the door like 1 minute left. And the next morning, or the next time I came down, there was an accident. And I ended up going all over to get back through. And you teased me about it. Oh, you're learning all the roads now again. It is beautiful. It is amazing. It is truly a blessing to live in Cayman Brac.
It is, yes.
And I want to say to all the radio listeners out there, the single largest land transfer in the history of our islands occurred post-COVID. And the reason for that was people returned to the Brac because we were basically limited to domesticated flights. And when our fellow Caymanians came to the Brac and recognized, wait a minute, this place is still paradise, they all started to subscribe, so to speak. We hope now in the future to continue to develop and continue to do a structured process as to not overdevelop ourselves to a certain extent.
Yes.
We certainly don't want to lose our charm of our country. We certainly don't want to lose our neighborhood appeal. I can't, you know, those little things that were Caymanian have been lost in Grand Cayman, and it's unfortunate. I saw a very interesting letter written by Miss Marjorie Ebanks today, and I read it last night, and you could feel the emotion of that writer. You could feel what she felt. And as many know, Miss Marjorie is a great woman. She has taught many of us. I wasn't one of her students, but many of our fellow Caymanians, she's educated. And to hear her plea to say, we need to slow down, we need to take a look at it, what we're doing, how we're doing it, is truly genuine, and it is something that we all have to consider. There's no silver bullet to the issues we face now. But I will start by saying the biggest problem I've seen is the administration of our nation starts with our government. And our government needs to restructure itself. And there's two things I said before, and I'll say it again. Hypocrisy and cowardice are going to be the death of our nation. You can't have a government writing a policy that says the private sector must roll over its employees at a certain point, yet we must, not ours, it doesn't apply to us. You can't have a government that says we are going to support and require and mandate private sector to hire our students coming out of college and give them employment when they themselves, our own government has says, no, here's a scholarship. When you get back to Cayman, good luck. Where is our succession plan? Where is it? For historically, the government of this country has promoted people based 80 and 90 percentile on tenure. That is a penultimate failure. And it is going to continue. The worst term I have ever heard spoken in a government department. That's how we do it, sir. Many of those people recognize it's not the right way, it's not the most efficient way, it's not the most effective way, but because it was passed down from prior to themselves, and now they're looking to pass it to the next, they maintain the protocol. Let me give you an example, OC. If you ever went to a government department to get something done, and there's 5 requirements, and you submit the documents, and there's something wrong with one component of that piece, Part A, they wrap it up, give it back to you, and say, oh, you need to fix this in Part A. You go back. Oh, Part A is now good. Here's Part B. Oh, yeah, you got this problem here. It's a simple. In the private sector, the perspective would view all 5 parts of the application, all 5 parts of the submission, all 5 parts of anything that's going through a government process. Identify what's issued on all 5, then present it back to the submitting party and said, fix these 8, 9, 10, 12 things, A, B, C, D done, and then bring it back. Yeah. Why do we have a protocol that says, oh, you forgot to dot the I in Tibbetts, you need to start over. Go to the back of the line and start over. And this is half of the reason why we got the people are screaming bureaucratic process, we're screaming not efficient, we're screaming, and they're correct. And the sad part about it is, I've worked in government departments. There are many of the other people that are there that say, yeah, Mr. Tibbetts, I agree, we should really go through all of this and get it done, but that's how they say we must do it. And there lies the problem. We're now projecting a deficit. I think you and I both know that's one notch on the volume button to change that to a surplus.
Yes.
So let's not go into panic there. Panic, yes. I guarantee I can go in every other room in that government department, I'll hear surplus, deficit, surplus, deficit. We know that, OC. I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's a press or it's propaganda. But I can assure you, the Cayman Islands is fine. The product we sell are ourselves, the sun, the beauty, the paradise. And there's no more evidence of that than Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. After you walk here, your entire bones change in your body. It's how good you feel about what we are and who we are. And I can assure you today, my efforts are to continue with the great work done by the Honorable Moses Kokono, as well as great works that are in works right now by the Honorable Juliana Khan, our premier. And I'm honored to be endorsed by both of them and to continue the works that they've done for 20-something years, over 20 years.
Okay, Mr. Tibbetts, with those words, we're going to go to a commercial break. When we return, in our past discussions, you have identified some things that are that need to be addressed in Cayman Brac and in Little Cayman as well. I want you to talk about the progress that has been made since you have identified them. Sometimes they say, what is it? The saying is that the squeaky
wheel
gets the oil,
yeah.
Right? So would like you to point out and talk about, what has happened in those areas, and again, talk about more of the issues that you want to address in Cayman Brac, and if you want to talk about Radio Cayman and the presence here as well, we're more than happy to promote that. So folks, don't change that dial. Please stay tuned for the record with Mr. Lonny Tibbetts, seeking to represent the constituency of Cayman Brac West and Little Cayman in our upcoming April 30th general elections. Okay, going good?
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Can you imagine your home completely organized? At Brand Source Custom Closets, we can. We specialize in designing and building custom closets and storage units for any room in your home, including the garage. With tailored designs and custom LED lighting solutions to fit your lifestyle and budget. Our Custom Closets expert is committed to enhancing the value of your home with a solution that is uniquely yours. Visit our showroom or call 623-6774 to schedule a no-obligation appointment with our design expert. Brand Source Custom Closets, 209 Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park.
The following is a paid political announcement by the Caymanian Community Party.
The PPM had their turn. What did we get? Exploding population, soaring cost of living, secret deals, and unfair immigration system. You're scraping by while they help their friends cash in. You tighten your belt while they blow money on vanity projects. Enough is enough. The Caymanian Community Party is different. We will make sure Caymanians have an opportunity in our own country. No side deals, no shady alliances. On April 30th, vote TCCP for a stronger, fairer Cayman.
That was a paid political message by the Caymanian Community Party.
My mom's a superhero. She always knows what to do when I feel icky. Yesterday, we went to West Bay Pharmacy, and they had everything she needed. Medicine, my favorite band-aids with dinosaurs, and even flavored vitamins. Mom says they keep our family healthy. I think they're magic. But don't tell anyone. I think superhero shop at West Bay Pharmacy. West Bay Pharmacy, where the superheroes shop. West Bay Pharmacy and Centennial Towers. Convenient quality care is just around the corner.
Step back in time and discover the rich history of the Cayman Islands at the National Museum. Located on the waterfront in Georgetown, the National Museum is proudly housed in the Old Courts Building, Cayman's oldest standing public building. Explore captivating exhibits and learn about our unique heritage and culture. Open Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And here's the best part, Saturdays are free for residents. Don't forget to visit our museum gift shop. Every purchase helps preserve our artifacts and the historic building we call home. Visit www.museum.ky for more information.
This is For the Record.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record, broadcasting directly from Cayman Brac. I want to remind our listeners that we still have our facility where if you have any questions or comments, send them into our WhatsApp number 925-3261. No phone calls, but send your questions or comments. 925-3261. They will be relayed electronically to us over here in the Brac. Meanwhile, we're going to continue our conversation with Mr. Lonny Tibbetts, the independent candidate seeking to represent Cayman Brac West and Little Cayman in our upcoming April 30th general elections. Let's talk about the squeaky wheel and getting the grease. And, so far, just by mentioning issues on the campaign trail, you're already seeing some traction being achieved.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. One of the things I just want to point out is that a while back we talked about some of the issues that we had with the port crane that was here. I'm very pleased to announce that I've actually come to understand that through various sources, I guess in the great memory of Mr. Ezard Miller and the documents found in the back of back of the truck, I believe was his term. But communications was made to me that we have successfully got crane committed for December of this year. And I welcome that addition to the assets of the Port Authority of the Cayman Islands, especially at the Cayman Brac. The board, I think, came to the Brac here, and they met at the Port Authority here, and they recognized that I guess the noise that I was making was valid. We have it's unfortunate that we've had to work for so long with something that was, inferior to the actual service that it was providing. For some that is maybe a little late with the understanding of the crane and the cost of living in Cayman Brac, it's very simple. The crane was limited to, I think, 40-something thousand pounds. And if you're a retailer here of any product or even a consolidated container coming here, you had to limit it to that. So anything over that, which a container can hold probably 80,000 gross weight. So what was happening was you had to, from the time you hit the 40,000 mark, you had to split that container. So you're now paying for 2 containers just because the crane couldn't lift it off of the barge. And that adds up very quickly. So hopefully we get this come December. That starts to allow greater quantity of items in a single container, the same price, and that should have kind of a true trickle-down effect on the product cost. One of the things that I've noticed here, a lot of the retailers I've found, very appreciative of this, is that the retail prices here you'll go and see, one product, the same product on the shelf, one for $1.10, the other one for $1.20, or the other one for 99. And what's happened is they really do factor in the cost of each shipment, what goes up and down. So there's no sticker on the shelf. In other words, it's cost per shipment per item. So it fluctuates. So I'm very pleased to know that I made enough noise to get them to look at that wheel. And it's quintessential to our country, to our island, to get that aspect done. I also want to talk about, I also understood that they went to Little Cayman as well and finally examined, and they met with a representative there who has been championing the cause for change there. And in my conversation with him, he told me he was quite vocal with that board to say, you guys have forgotten us. You've neglected us for too long. We need a facility here to store items. We can't be climbing in and out of containers. And these minutiae, we're seen that way, but if someone gets hurt in that container, falls during that process, the Port Authority is going to be liable. Yeah. And that's all of us liable. We have got to divorce this concept that what happens in Department A doesn't affect Department B or doesn't affect us all. Any government debt is a debt to every citizen of this country. Really, we're all responsible for it. And as I alluded to earlier, we're talking about the deficit and surplus and all of these things. That's not our problem. We have bigger issues than that. We have to re-examine from a national level our citizenship. Those are the things that have driven up house prices, property prices. Just the qualification criteria alone, people are overpaying or people are overspending. And for a native, we would say, why would you spend $400,000 on a house that's probably worth $200,000? But what you don't know is the foreign national that's trying to qualify for their points and to obtain these things to actually add to their criteria to present it for qualification, recognize in their country that same property would be taxed. Their income would be taxed. So it's well worth the additional investment for them because it's already costed completely indifferent to them. So that's why it feels nothing for them to essentially overpay. Once you turn that knob, it's hard to turn that back. Once you start people pegging prices upwards, we have a development issue, as alluded to in Mrs. Eubank's letter. What is it exactly? We don't know where or when we've started this kind of, we've opened this floodgate, so to speak. I'm not a fan of the administrative process of work permits. Never been. I would never support that, because that is a process where the boxes are ticked and it's an automatic yes. In that case, that's an AI protocol now. That's not in a logic applied to this. I do not feel that our unemployment at the work department is synced that good that we can clearly define, yes, there's a Caymanian here, but he can't do the job, and there's some gray area in there. In addition, there is no present policy to say we're going to limit the amount of laborers here, we're going to limit the amount of gardeners here, we're going to limit the amount of, there's none. So, but worse, a lot of those companies present with a statement that says they got 5 houses they're building or they got 20 yards to clean. Has anyone ever audited that? Has anyone ever validated that? I come in and said, I own a landscaping business. I got 10 houses to clean. I need 2 guys to work for me. Has anyone in the history of immigration or now work presented to those owners and audited that protocol to say, does Lonny Tibbetts have a company?
Is this a valid contract?
This is a valid contract.
Yes, yeah.
You know, and but better yet, not even ask. Go and see. If they're there every Wednesday, here's a schedule. We have too many laws in our country that are not being administered properly. The rules are all there, and people are hoping that the threat of the rules will be sufficient. Well, I'm sorry. You can put 150-mile-an-hour signs on the road. If an officer isn't there once or twice a week with a radar gun, guess what? People are going to speed up.
Or there's a camera there to record it and then to send you a ticket.
So,
along the lines that you spoke earlier about prices and everything, one of our listeners wanted to know whether, if elected, what would you do or put in place to address or to protect consumers, some sort of protection, consumer protection legislation?
Definitely. I've always been a fan of a consumer protection agency. And I'm going to stretch that one further. I think that office should be in Cayman Brac. I think we should host secondary office in Grand Cayman for those what we consider inspection-based work and statistic gathering. It should be a requirement of every retail in this country to report their retail pricing. And that way we can gauge our growth correctly.
So you wouldn't set the prices, but you would monitor how those prices are.
As you recall, I was the head of CINP. And let me give you a situation where you can see people where we were exploited by our own. And I'll explain why. We had a situation where the HSA, there's an RFP for pharmaceuticals. The RFP, from my understanding and my interpretation, because I'm not a part of that, had a limit. So, for example, they would say we're going to buy 365 tablets from this company per year for this price. Let's say it's $1 price. Landed cost to the HSA was $1. The HSA had 100% markup on that drug. That's how they would charge Seneco $2 now for that drug. No, they're satisfied with $1's profit, correct? The RFP, they exceeded the 365 now. So say around October, they had consumed all 365. So they now had to go back. They then had to go back to retail, to open market, to obtain this pharmaceutical drug at the cost, OC, of $3 now. Do you know what they sold it to Seneco for? $6.
Wow.
Instead of them suffice with the $1 from the previous budget, they just multiplied the $3 again by 100%.
Wow. Okay. We're going to take a commercial break. When we return, you were talking about the BRAC and, wanting to retain that identity, but at the same time, wanting to attract more people to come here, and it is extremely attractive. I want to talk about some of the incentives for people to invest in the BRAC, especially those persons who are interested in residential land and building. Talk about the availability of workers in Cayman Brac as well. Skill. I know many Brackers are in the construction industry. They have their crews and stuff like that. Let's promote the BRAC a little bit when we return as well. Folks, don't change that dial. Please stay tuned for the record with Mr. Lonny Tibbetts. We'll be back shortly.
Your dream home starts with a vision, and often inspiration is at the heart of that vision. Brand Source Home Gallery's in-house designers are here to help bring your vision to life. Whether you're remodeling or building a new home, Brand Source Home Gallery is your one-stop solution. Explore their kitchen cabinets, sinks, faucets, bath fixtures, tubs, vanities, and more. Let Brand Source's designers help and inspire you with your next project. Call 623-5000 and schedule an appointment with a design expert at Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, serving Cayman for 50 years.
Big decisions need real data. Before we vote on April 30th, we deserve to know the full picture.
Cayman's cruise industry is already strong. With over 1 million passengers a year, we are ranked 6th in the region. But as cruise lines push passengers to spend on board, local businesses earn less from every visitor. A cruise pier doesn't fix that. It just gives cruise corporations more control while Cayman carries the cost. We have to ask ourselves, what else do the cruise lines and developers want from us? Instead of spending hundreds of millions, let's invest in solutions that benefit our people first. Vote no on April 30th.
Cayman's tourism should work for Caymanians, not cruise corporations. Save our Cayman. Vote no to cruise berthing infrastructure.
The nation listens. The candidates speak. Subway presents the General Election Debates live in studio on Radio Cayman 89.9 FM and 93.9 in the Sister Islands every Monday and select Wednesdays from 7 to 10 p.m. 2 sessions, one powerful discussion. With Election Day fast approaching, hear what the candidates have to say on the cost of living, housing and development, economic growth, sustainability, education, transport, tourism, immigration and more. Who has the vision? Who has the plan? Hear it all unfold live, unfiltered, and on the voice of the Cayman Islands. Radio Cayman 89.9 FM and 93.9. Streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. Visit Radio Cayman's social media pages for debate details. Brought to you in part by Cayman Enterprise City, Reflections, UCCI, and YUM.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
We now take you back to Cayman Brac for the record, and Mr. Orrett Connor talking with candidate Mr. Lonny Tibbetts. Orrett?
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record, broadcasting from the Sister Island, beautiful Cayman Brac. In the studio with me, Mr. Lonny Tibbetts, who is the candidate seeking to represent the constituency of Cayman Brac West and Little Cayman in our upcoming April 30th general elections. I have a birthday shout out as well. I'm going to see how quickly I can do that before we go to our back to Mr. Tibbetts. So this listener would like to send birthday greetings and 29-year anniversary to Doreen McDonald coming from her husband, Neil. So Miss Doreen McDonald, 29th year anniversary, also birthday greetings. They're coming from your husband, Neil. So Mr. Tibbetts, the Brac.
Yes, sir.
We don't want to lose that uniqueness, that quietness. We see when I compare, the last time I was in the Brac was before last year's agriculture show. We broadcasted from Brac Reef Resort at that point in time. I've seen a difference in the number of cars on the road at any point in time, but haven't come anywhere near to what we have in Grand Cayman yet.
But you see, also, it's a great point, right?
Mm-hmm.
I commit to every voter that gives me an X. Both Miss Julie and I, we are going to make sure that we have a plan for Cayman Brac. We are not going to make it evolve into that disaster called Grand Cayman.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I can call it.
Mm-hmm.
Let me explain something to you. See. You know, from the time you're children, you can't plant two mango trees in the same hole. They may grow together, but there's going to be a point where one start killing the other one, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Worse yet, if you put it too close to the line, border your land property line, half the mangoes could be in your neighbors, right? And the law says anything cross his fence is his. So why is it that we can't see if there's 10,000 square foot of construction plan for next year that requires an average of 7 or 8 people to build that? If we put 5 million square feet in the plan, why can't we factor in knowing full well, here's what's coming? This is the people. This is the transport. We have built all of these, what I consider sand castles on the same beach. And no one is talking to one another. No one sitting down with what I consider a full macro view of the whole situation and saying, if we pass this hotel or this office building, this is what we're going to need to build it. This is what we're going to need to fill it. This is the road impact it's going to have on that. This is what's going to impact our dump. This is what's going to impact our immigration. This is what's going to impact our scholarships. These are the things that we need to look at a holistic view. And it's not necessarily about ticking a box, but we need to make sure we circle that entire project, not just construction, but everything else that's going on, and see what we consider the cause and effect of each piece, and then plan accordingly. I can assure you, the power company of this country, both here and Grand Cayman, factor in homes built. They know immediately. Their reserves are there. We have no policies currently in government that show us this one is working with this one, that one's working with this one. And you kind of get yourself in a situation where, you're chasing your own tail, trying to figure out how we got into this spiral, how do we get out? I'll tell you the first start. First day, any opportunity to cease and desist all new work permits, I would support that. We need to stop and slow down. We're not growing our country in the right direction. What was the impetus of the business staffing plan? It was based on ensuring that who's next, Caymanian opportunities, scholarship support, and replacement. We have this problem in our country where we build all of these mechanisms to present well, but they're not applied correctly. Yes. It's kind of like, look at, see, I got a brand new seatbelt in the car, but I ain't wearing it. You understand?
Yeah.
And that's our disconnect. It's not just about the laws. When you look on the paper, oh, man, these guys really tight. But is anyone really out on the road checking that they're really doing 30?
Implementation.
Yes. And adherence and upholding. Look, I'm telling you, look at the hypocrisy. We have a planning department that won't pass a building. People have built on apartments, built on rooms, all of these things. None of them, if the planning department takes what's in their registry to some people's property, they would think they're on the wrong planet. Yet, NAU is paying that homeowner to house a Caymanian. Where's the disconnect? I can assure you, OC, if NAU requires a CO for the building, the apartment, the room, the unit, the enclosed garage that is paid for by the government, and a certificate of occupancy for a house, doesn't match the room proposed, and NAU say, I'm sorry, we can only put people in places that are building or planning approved. In 5 minutes, you'll have 1,000 retro applications updated. Am I wrong?
Yeah, absolutely right.
Planning department has a rule on that rate card. It says, we're passing you to this level, and you've passed, and you must maintain it to this level. I heard someone describe the 10% rule. So they added on 10% every year for 10 years. So they doubled their house. I don't know how that, you know. So those are some of the disconnects. Under Brac here, we have a cost of living issue. We certainly have ways to reduce those costs, but we also have to recognize the single largest factor driving up costs, and we need to look at this, is our import. Everything we import in the country, ridiculous. We need to start sourcing other places. I worked with a private sector individual. I actually visited foreign countries to look at sources of food. see, I'm telling you, 20% of the cost that we're buying it from in Florida. Fresh fruits, vegetables, a plethora. Only issue we had, we couldn't kind of facilitate actual transportation because it was limited with the port issue. But every time someone touches a container, a pallet, or any type of shipping box, you know there's a cost factor on that. The government needs to look at subsidizing shipping routes or a shipping company in some way to get that. But here's the hypocrisy. If the cost of an imported item goes down, 90%, I would say 90, probably about 60 to 65% of the government revenue comes from import duties. It is a detriment to the government for the cost of items to go down. You wonder why we went through the whole surplus protocol post-COVID? Why? The government wasn't performing good. The cost of our items are doubling in the U.S. We are sitting on a fixed rate of duty for items. So there's that dollar item like the HSA that now went to $3, and the government now, who should have been satisfied with $1, should have adopted our import duty to reduce it down to what you consider an active import duty protocol to only collect $1 per their budget. They sat there and collected their $3 to our detriment. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. If you don't know books, if you don't know accounting, if you don't know any rule in life, write this one down and never forget it. The most dangerous word you will ever hear come out of any government, any nation, is the word surplus. That is not indicative of their performance. That is indicative of their exploitation of its citizens. We're being overtaxed. That's nothing to do with government performance. Government paints with an 8-inch roller. They don't paint with pointillers. They don't paint with a pen. They paint with an 8-inch roller. And when their policies gather and gain steam, it is to our detriment when you hear the word surplus. That ain't nothing to brag about. And I'll punctuate it by saying this. We are all the shareholders of this nation. I have yet to receive a dividend when the government produces a surplus. And what's most dangerous is when you do produce a surplus, the politicians that are there know that don't have no strings attached to it. This is green light.
You can spend.
This is like when you wash your pants and you dry it and you show your hand in your pocket and find a $10 bill. It's like you won the lottery. That's what that is to a politician when the word surplus comes out. We need to curtail this perspective. The information, the technology, and the capacity is there to adapt our import duties on a perspective that's reflective of a true budget, not grab what we can get and hope for the best.
With those words, Mr. Lonny Tibbetts, we're going to go to our headline news. Folks, don't change that dial. Please stay tuned. We have lots more of this to come. And also to remind you that later on we will have Mr. Dan Scott, the leader of the Cayman Islands National Party, and Mr. Nikolas DaCosta with us on air as well. So please stay tuned. We will return after our headline news at 9 o'clock.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
The headline news is brought to you by Kirk Market and Health Services Authority.
The physician's clinic at the Little Cayman Health Center scheduled for today has been canceled, but it will resume next week, Wednesday. To make an appointment, call 949-8600 or email info@hsa.ky. The United Kingdom Supreme Court has ruled that the legal definition of a woman is based on biological sex. Judges say the, quote, concept of sex is binary, while cautioning that the landmark ruling should not be seen as a victory of one side over the other. Transgender people still have legal protection from discrimination, according to the 88-page judgment. The Scottish government had argued that transgender people with a gender recognition certificate are entitled to sex-based protections, while For Women Scotland argued that they only apply to people who are born female. For Women Scotland says it's, quote, grateful for the decision after a long road of legal battles, while charity Scottish Trans urges people, quote, not to panic. The Scottish government says it will act, quote, in good faith and will work with Westminster to understand the full implications of the rulings. Those are your headlines. I'm Karsley Fuller.
More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
Do you have a healthcare question but not sure who to ask? Contact HSA's Patient Call Center to speak to one of our experienced clinical team members. We are here to answer your questions and help guide you through your healthcare journey. Need to make an appointment? Our team can help. Contact HSA at 949-8600 or email info@hsa.ky. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record, right here in the beautiful Cayman Brac, conversing with Mr. Lonny Tibbetts, who is the candidate seeking to represent the constituency of Cayman Brac West and Little Cayman in our upcoming April 30th general elections. Mr. Tibbetts, before I hand the mic back over to you, one of our listeners has written and said, good morning to you and your panel. Our landfill in Grand Cayman has become a national disaster. This is a teachable moment for Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. With a $50 million construction project started on the Brac, what plans are in place to manage the landfill in the Brac? We can't afford to make the same mistake of our sister islands as we made in Grand Cayman.
I couldn't agree more. It's long been said. I tell you what, Ozzy, let me give you a good number. 70%. 70% is the recycle rate of our politicians in the House for the last 20 years. 70%. Go look it up. 5% is a recycle rate of our garbage at the dump. That's pretty scary, right? The complex issues behind, listen, it scares me to think that we've educated our children about recycling. We've not funded it properly. It takes a lot of money to fund it, but I'll tell you what's even scarier. Most countries that do effective recycling actually make revenue off of the refuse. Why we can't make this happen, I do not know. We need not just better education, we've done that. We now need to put the things in place. We keep saying we got a recycling program. We have no segregation of garbage. People are still putting all in one bag, throwing it in. We have nothing in a processing process where it comes through and it's separated and this goes, nothing. And we just keep When we can separate metal to the left, cans to this, the right, tires over here, and what we do? What do we do with them? We leave them to the point that they catch a fire. We leave them to the point that they harbor mosquitoes. When it shouldn't even be that. It should be in shredded rubber pellets available for export to whoever the company is done. That is what we need. We don't need them piled up for 6 months, a year, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Then they finally release someone company to come and do this. That is a disconnect. That's our problem. The next thing, right? We're talking about a surplus, talking about a deficit. I just want to say that those two issues with that are very easily overcome. The proposed whatever that deficit is easy. We need to raise stamp duty on foreign investors. I don't know any other country that doesn't charge property taxes. So when you invest in the Cayman Islands and you're getting a 4 and 5 and probably 6% in the last couple of years, increase in property, net increase in property, and there's no tax on that. You resell it, you turn it, you flip it, as they say, and that affects us. That has the trickle down. Now, what needs to be done, OC, is earmarking. So any foreign national that buys property in this country, whether it's 7, 6, 5, whatever the percentage is, 1.5% or 2% additional should be added to that, and that fund, that revenue should be earmarked to support low-income houses. This is our disconnect. We just have
affordable houses.
Affordable houses. And we just have this huge basket that we just keep throwing the money in and just goes all over. I say to people, I said, government has a 12-foot wide by 24-foot wide garage door for revenue collection. And they have a 9-inch boat portal for payment. You ever try to get paid by the government yet? It's nightmares. Why? They're all about collecting. No, there's times when someone collected the wrong amount, you need to refund them. These people basically give up on this. You talk about a consumer protection agency. Do you know who's going to be the most threatened by that? Cayman Islands government.
Yeah.
That's what's so scary about this. Hypocrisy, cowardice. If we don't address them, start with the man in the mirror, start with our government. We can't tell the private sector, you must create employment, you must look for a Caymanian when that work permit is up and hire them, yet the government can't do it for its own citizens. You can't say to them, you need a clearly defined succession plan when the government doesn't have one. We don't even have an entire structure to tell people, if you want to move from this level to this level, this is the certificate programs you require, this is the training that you require, this is the bachelor's, the associates, etc. And what happens? You completely eliminate an objective approach to advancement. People become demoralized and they start recognizing the way that he got there or the way that she got there was because she was friends with this one. So you completely destroy the validity of performance in that, and it's now all about, you go back to the old subscription protocol. It's all about who you know, etc. Who you know should open the door for you. It shouldn't give you the job.
Okay. I believe you wanted to remind your constituents about some deadlines coming up for as far as the voting process is concerned.
So essentially, tomorrow is April 17th. Tomorrow is the last day to register online at the elections office if you require a postal ballot or a mobile voting. So to all listeners that are out there, if you have family members, friends, registered voters that may be off island or traveling off island, you can request your postal ballot. If for any reason you require assistance at home, mobile voting, the opportunity is there. Folks, one of the greatest things we have in this country is a democracy. And I can certainly say the elections office has done a good job ensuring that we can exercise that. Albeit, I still have concerns that we don't have a national sponsored travel from Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac for Cayman Brackers that are living or working or in school there to come and exercise their democratic right to vote. But I can assure you, I'm working diligently on getting some type of either discount on the airfares or some type of special flight to get a number of people there.
And in the future, you would propose changes in the legislation
The
to
first thing I would
address that.
The first thing I would do is mobile voting for Cayman Brackers that are in Grand Cayman that want to maintain their registered rights to vote in Cayman Brac, and have a town hall or a designated government building or a school designated maybe on a Saturday, move the ballots, because the security is the issue. The ballots are presented to Grand Cayman, then you can go in and vote just like a regular vote, and the ballots then can be returned to Cayman Brac for the count for the district. So this should not, say, come on, man, this is low-hanging fruit. Why hasn't anybody thought about this? There's many there. Why do Cayman Brackers have to spend $163 US to fly to Cayman Brac to exercise their democratic right? And this, again, is one of the things that I've said all along. Brac deserves better. Our government has to stop looking at us like this. We need a Radio Cayman. Say, we don't want you retiring in Grand. We need you up here full time.
Be happy to come.
That's right. We need chief officers here. We need departments that are run here. We need more. And worse, we used to have planning department operate, pass, and process building plans. That's all gone to Grand Cayman now. And similarly with a lot of other services that work traditionally here, that work there, brought here, expanded. How are we going to grow our little island? How are we going to give the next generation an opportunity if we all work on this vacuum called Grand Cayman? And I can tell you the hypocrisy is there, because everyone down there wish they were here. That drive in the morning will convince you.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
Okay, I want to give you an opportunity for some closing comments and to remind your listeners of any upcoming events taking place between now and the 30th of April.
Yes. Well, I have quite a bit. My website is out there, bracdeservesbetter.com, and also similarly Facebook and Instagram, and my schedule is up on it. Tonight is the tomorrow. Miss Julie, I think, will be speaking with you tomorrow morning, our honorable premier, and tonight myself as well as the other candidates will be having a Cayman Brac debate. Thank you for that. Thank you, Radio Cayman. On Saturday the 19th, I'll be in Little Cayman at 6 p.m. At Blossom Village for a public meeting. On the 22nd, I'll be at Catboat Plaza with Miss Juliana Connor-Conley. On the 23rd, I'm returning to Little Cayman for a meet and greet barbecue with Miss Maxine at the McCoy's Lodge. Good barbecue. You're missing out, OC, I'm telling you.
I may have to delay my plans to go back, huh?
I got space on the boat. Let's go Saturday, bro. And on the 24th, the Honorable Premier is also hosting another public meeting. 25th is my meeting at the Scotts Dock. And the 29th is our final rally at the Kirk's supermarket here with trying to finalize that now, the Honorable Premier, and also the Mr. Moses Kokorno. And hopefully we may have some special guests. We're not sure. We're trying to tug one to come home. We'll hit on that later.
Okay.
But, it's exciting times here. Cayman Brac continues to strive. We're very pleased with the things that have been done by our elected officials. And they too will tell you that this is what we've had, this is all we could do with it, and this is what we've done, and there's, unless you understand that, you can really appreciate the efforts made by both Ms. Julian and Honorable Moses Kokorno. It's tremendous what we've done here. Look at the growth in our island, look at the sales, look at the land. People don't buy land in a place they don't have faith in. It is our responsibility to maintain as best we can, but also complement. I want to see a water authority in Little Cayman. We just reached Pot Bay. I want to see the water authority through the entire bluff. I want to see more antennas in Little Cayman for redundancy and satellite coverage. I certainly want to see better coverage, both for Radio Cayman and other radios here. I want to see more banks here. I bank with Butterfield, and I have to spend $2.50 to take $25 out of an ATM at CNB here. if you don't have a presence if I'm in Grand Cayman, it's my choice if I go to CINP for a Butterfield withdrawal, because there's 100 Butterfields around the place. But if I'm in Brac and there's only one, how is that fair to me that I have to go and pay a fee to withdraw? If you're not here, you should not be able to charge a fee.
Yeah. Okay. Looking forward to seeing you later on this evening again as well. Folks, we're going to take a commercial break. When we return, we will have Mr. Dan Scott and Mr. Nikolas DaCosta in the studio, so don't change that dial. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
My mom's a superhero. She always knows what to do when I feel icky. Yesterday, we went to West Bay Pharmacy, and they had everything she needed. Medicine, my favorite band-aids with dinosaurs, and even flavored vitamins. Mom says they keep our family healthy. I think they're magic. But don't tell anyone. I think superhero shop at West Bay Pharmacy. West Bay Pharmacy, where the superheroes shop. West Bay Pharmacy and Centennial Towers. Convenient quality care is just around the corner.
Can you imagine your home completely organized? At Brand Source Custom Closets, we can. We specialize in designing and building custom closets and storage units for any room in your home, including the garage. With tailored designs and custom LED lighting solutions to fit your lifestyle and budget. Our custom closets expert is committed to enhancing the value of your home with a solution that is uniquely yours. Visit our showroom or call 623-6774 to schedule a no-obligation appointment with our design expert. Brand Source Custom Closets, 209 Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park.
At Kirk's Home Center, we can make your life much better. We got it all together. We got a great deal in store for you. From cookware to stereos, from power tools to plumbing supplies. Yeah, we got the best goods with the best price and a service to make you smile. At Kirk's Home Center, we got a great deal in store for you.
Big decisions need real data. Before we vote on April 30th, we deserve to know the full picture.
Cruise lines control how passengers spend their money, from shopping on board to taking the lion's share of pre-booked tours. That means less business for Cayman's tour operators and retailers. A pair won't change that. Instead, it just gives cruise corporations a bigger stake in Cayman's tourism industry. If we want a stronger economy, we need better deals for Caymanians, not more power for cruise lines. Vote no on April 30th.
Cayman's economy should serve Caymanians first. Save our Cayman. Vote no to cruise berthing infrastructure.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Hello, East Enders. This is Roydell Carter, your candidate for East End Member of Parliament. I am inviting you to my Bold Manifesto launch this Wednesday night, April 16th at 7:30 p.m. at Packasack, opposite Pirates Cove in East End. Come on out to hear the bold initiatives and get your copy. See you there. Bold Leadership, East End, vote number 2, Roydell Carter.
Step back in time and discover the rich history of the Cayman Islands at the National Museum. Located on the waterfront in Georgetown, the National Museum is proudly housed in the Old Courts Building, Cayman's oldest standing public building. Explore captivating exhibits and learn about our unique heritage and culture. Open Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And here's the best part, Saturdays are free for residents. Don't forget to visit our museum gift shop. Every purchase helps preserve our artifacts and the historic building we call home. Visit www.museum.ky for more information.
Accidents and illnesses can strike without warning. Ouch! When it comes to urgent care, every second counts. At Doctors Hospital, we have a dedicated team of experienced doctors and nursing staff available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Don't waste time in an overcrowded emergency room when you need urgent care. Whether it's a broken bone, a severe infection, or a sudden illness, trust in Doctors Hospital's unwavering dedication to providing the best immediate care. For complete urgent care when you need it the most, choose Doctors Hospital, located in Georgetown, 16 Middle Road.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record and the beautiful Cayman Brac. It is my pleasure to have in the studio at this point in time the leader of the Cayman Islands National Party, Mr. Dan Scott, also seeking to represent the constituency of Cayman Brac East in our upcoming April 30th general elections. Also in the studio with us, Mr. Nikolas DaCosta. I haven't seen him in quite a while. I always used to see him in
Just
the
a few
studio.
weeks.
I got him out. And he's seeking to represent the constituency of Cayman Brac West and Little Cayman in our upcoming elections as well. Gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, OC. Thank you for having us. It's a pleasure to see you in Cayman Brac.
It is a pleasure to be here. My last time, as I said earlier, was just before the agriculture show last year as well. So while neither of you need no introduction here in Cayman Brac or even in Grand Cayman, I still want to give you the opportunity to introduce yourselves to our listening and viewing audience.
Well, I'll ask Nikolas to go first.
Of course. Sure. Well, good morning, OC. Again, good morning to everyone listening at home, especially our people here in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. I'm happy to put myself forward to serve the people of Cayman Brac and Little Cayman in this upcoming general election and even the future beyond. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman are very special to me, and I'm looking to change the tide of what's happening in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, where we no longer will have a reactionary government, but a proactive government who sees the needs. Because the needs that we have in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman didn't just develop overnight. They've been there. They've been festering and growing. And we finally need to address them. And that's what I'm seeking to do, but not leaving our people behind or forgetting about them. So it's a pleasure to be on your show. It's a pleasure to talk to the people. And I look forward to our conversation.
Okay. Thank you. I suppose to just quote one line from Mr. DaCosta's opponent, Cayman Brac does deserve better. And I think in Mr. DaCosta, that certainly will be part of it. And I look to do the same in Cayman Brac East. I'm standing for Cayman Brac East, and it is one of the areas that we are really keenly focused on. When we look around and you look at how our people are doing, year after year, they are struggling, and the story is the same, the refrain is the same, and it needs to be a change to ensure that we are positively impacting the people of Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. And in the case of Nikolas and I, we view it that it is, you're going to get two for the price of one. So we're going to be representing the entire Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, and indeed the broader Cayman Islands. But we do need change. We need to come back and be really focused on the quality of life for our people. So that is on the platform, I think, that we're looking to transform this back to being very much people-focused.
I want to remind our audience as well that the same protocols apply. If you have any questions or comments, please send them to us via our WhatsApp number. That number is 925-3261. Meanwhile, gentlemen, you've been on the campaign trail, and at the same time, both of you have residence here in Cayman Brac as well. So you not only hear it, but you live it as well. Let's talk about some of the pressing issues for the sister islands and your views on how you will address those some of those issues, some of the ones that you're hearing on the campaign trail.
Maybe I'll kick it off, and probably the one that is front and center is cost of living. And it's a real challenge. And as Nikolas and I have talked about this, he pointed out, and he's absolutely right, you pay twice for whatever you get to Cayman Brac, and we need to provide relief. In very real terms, you're talking about the very basics, the most essential things, whether it's food, drugs, or otherwise. And in the case of this, you're talking pharmaceuticals are expensive, and our people up here having to make choices between whether they pay for food or they have medical care. Added to that, the other thing which is really painful is when you talk about health care, we're having to leave, our elderly folks are having to leave the Brac to fly to Grand Cayman in a lot of cases to get some of the most basic, even diagnosis. We do not have a CT scan up here. We do not have a mammogram machine. That adds to cost because while they're over in Grand, they're having to look after themselves, and it's a real challenge. And those are the sorts of things that we need to do and we will do to make sure it's far more effective and less costly for our folks in the Brac and Little Cayman.
Yep. No, I mean, OOC, the similar things apply because, as Dan mentioned earlier, we are one team. Although the island is separated by constituency, the effects of our daily living is felt across both sister islands. So it's the same thing in Cayman Brac, West and Little Cayman. Sorry. But what we need to do is just boldly address them with innovative solutions. Dan spoke about paying for things twice when it arrives here in Cayman Brac, and it's quite simple. Other things that need to be changed in regulations to assist the people of Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. For example, and I highlighted this to the current government, if you buy a car, if you were to travel to Grand Cayman and buy a car from a dealership in
Your voice matters. Your vote counts.
If you or someone you know may have difficulty getting to your designated polling locations on general election and referendum day on the 30th of April, you should apply for mobile voting.
You don't have to miss your chance to vote.
If you're in the hospital, a rest home, or are unable to leave your home, if you have a physical disability that makes it difficult to vote in person, or if you'll be working on general election and referendum day and will be unable to get to the polls,
apply for mobile voting. The deadline to apply is the 17th of April. Visit elections.ky or call 949-8047 for more information and assistance. Your vote matters, and the Elections Office wants to make sure it's heard.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
Your dream home starts with a vision, and often inspiration is at the heart of that vision. Brand Source Home Gallery's in-house designers are here to help bring your vision to life. Whether you're remodeling or building a new home, Brand Source Home Gallery is your one-stop solution. Explore their kitchen cabinets, sinks, faucets, bath fixtures, tubs, vanities, and more. Let Brand Source's designers help and inspire you with your next project. Call 623-5000 and schedule an appointment with a design expert at Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, serving Cayman for 50 years.
Shipping to the Cayman Islands is fast, reliable, and seamless thanks to Cayman Airways Cargo. Need it faster than ocean freight? Cayman Airways Cargo offers multiple cargo flights to Grand Cayman from Miami weekly, so your packages, whether big, small, or in between, will arrive in no time. You can even use a Cayman Airways Cargo US address for your online shopping. Cayman Airways Cargo is also the only carrier providing air freight services for Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Contact us today and see why Cayman Airways Cargo was voted as Cayman's best cargo and logistics company in the Best of Cayman Awards. For details, visit caymanairways.com/cargo.
Let me ask you something. You think if we keep doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result, anything gonna change? No, brother. Cayman needs change. We deserve better. And I say no more. Caymanians are not for sale. Real change comes from hard work and investing in our people. And the time for change is now. And I will deliver the change we need. Ranking needs one for we. Give him the vote and you will see.
Big decisions need real data. Before we vote on April 30th, we deserve to know the full picture.
Building a cruise pier means years of construction, traffic congestion, business closures, and lost jobs. And for what? A project that mainly benefits the cruise lines? Local businesses, tour operators, and family-run shops will feel the impact long before any promised gains materialize. Why should Cayman take on the risk while cruise companies take the reward? Vote no on April 30th.
Caymanians deserve better. Vote no to cruise berthing infrastructure.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record, broadcasting from beautiful Cayman Brac. For those of you who are just joining us, I want to remind you who's in the studio with me. We have the leader of the Cayman Islands National Party, Mr. Dan Scott. He's seeking to represent the constituency of Cayman Brac East in our upcoming general elections, and Mr. Nikolas DaCosta, who is seeking to represent the constituency of Cayman Brac West and Little Cayman. So it is widely, gentlemen, it is widely accepted that successive governments have failed to implement a successful waste management solution. And in addition to those comments, one of our listeners wrote and said that our landfill in Grand Cayman has become a national disaster. This is a teachable moment for Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. With a $50 million construction project started on the Brac, what plans are in place to manage the landfill in the Brac? We can't afford to make the same mistake our sister islands have made in that they have made in Grand Cayman. Sorry.
That's a fair question. Maybe Nick, if you want to take this one first.
Sure. OC, thank you. You know, it goes back to a government that's reactionary and not proactive. We've seen the disaster that has happened with the landfill in Grand Cayman, and we cannot afford to repeat that in the sister islands. We need to address those issues immediately, and the first thing that we need to do is reduce the waste that goes into the landfill. There is currently no recycling depot in Cayman Brac or Little Cayman. We need to be proactive in that, where we introduce recycling. We encourage people to recycle to reduce what goes into the landfill, and then it goes back to the equipment that is provided at the landfill. We as is customary, Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, ironically, no pun intended, get the scraps for the equipment at the landfill. Whenever the new one is purchased in Grand Cayman, we get it here, and then it breaks down, and there's nothing to be done. Little Cayman's dump currently has no heavy equipment, no bobcat that is functioning to maneuver the waste that's in the landfill. So everybody just dumps it where they want, and there's no way of moving it. We need to provide the resources to address the issues. The Cayman Brac landfill is getting out of control, where it's nearly the height of the bluff. And that area is nearly 40 feet high or more. And it needs to be addressed where we get rid of the waste and perhaps loop it in with Grand Cayman. Sorry, the Grand Cayman landfill also, and going back to the regen deal, we saw where the original regen deal completely left the sister islands out of the equation. We weren't addressed at all. And that when we develop a solution to addressing the landfill in Grand Cayman, the sister islands will be included, whether that's shipping the waste to Grand Cayman when we do the modular waste energy facilities, the smaller scale that makes it more efficient, or we address it right here locally on Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. But a solution will be found for that.
Yeah, and to underscore exactly what Mr. DaCosta said, these things keep getting ignored, and folks will come up, and you would have seen with the whole regen project, the government, consecutive governments, ended up spending to date, I think it's in excess of $32 million for nothing. And so these are things that we want to stop, look at, but deal with quickly. And as Nikolas rightly pointed out, it's seeing simple things in the short term, like having the right equipment on site to be able to do that, composting, building smaller modular. We're not here to try and build something that is far beyond. And in the case of what was proposed last time, I mean, that would have bankrupted the country. With the regen deal, that would have been over $2 billion. So we got to be smart about how we do this, and we have to be engaged. The people stand ready. This is the thing. Our people on Cayman Brac and Little Cayman stand ready to assist, support, and move forward with it. And here it's quite a bit different, perhaps, that we can quickly move to recycling and get the education program in place along with everything else. People are willing to do this. We as a government will move quickly on that and put what is in place and the support necessary to deliver on that.
Okay, gentlemen, can we talk a little bit about our housing crisis? We see that unplanned population growth, ineffective immigration policies, and non-Caymanians competing with Caymanians to own property, which they in turn use for either speculative investment or short-term rentals. And this results in excessively high costs of housing. What will the Cayman Islands National Party do to resolve some of these housing issues?
Well, maybe I'll cover a couple, and I'll ask Mr. DaCosta to cover some as well. I think starting point is we're in a position right now that it is reached the stage that Caymanians are in real dire straits. And we're talking about at all levels. We have homelessness in the Cayman Islands like we've never had before. These are people who simply cannot afford. And that is one of the areas that we're going to focus on very early. We cannot have our people sleeping in cars, sleeping on the beach, living in cardboard boxes. With a country that is meant to be as affluent as we are, I mean, that is simply unacceptable. And part of that is focusing on how do we provide housing in a meaningful way to those that we would consider indigent, even as we're transitioning them back into being able to be independent and focused. We have to provide indigent housing. The second thing that we need to do is to move towards affordability for our Caymanians. And that is across a whole spectrum, whether it is providing opportunities that government through whether we launch, we're going to explore the possibility of launching a 30-year bond, which will provide fixed-rate mortgages for Caymanians and indeed first-time Caymanian homeowners. And then the other thing, which
those bonds could be locally subscribed?
They could be subscribed locally, wherever, right? So it would be available for us as well, or pension funds or Caymanians to invest in. And then the other thing we're looking to do is to make sure, in the past, what has happened is consecutive governments have been focused on concessions, and frankly, they have directed them towards wealthy foreign developers. No more. We will focus on those concessions. As we put those forward, they will be directed towards first-time Caymanian homeowners. That's where they should be. This concept of the trickle-down simply hasn't happened. So I'll See, anything else you want to add, Nick?
It is becoming out of reach. A townhouse, for example, in Grand Cayman, 4 years ago would have cost you $399,000. Today, that same townhouse is costing you $700,000. It is becoming out of reach for our Caymanians to own property. So as Dan said, these solutions will make it attainable for our young Caymanians, for anyone that needs housing. Housing is a right. You deserve a shelter over your head to sleep at night. The same mango trees that we used to pick fruit from are the trees that people are now having to sleep under. We can no longer have that in this country. So we need to find ways. I would definitely be a champion, and I will be a champion for our, I guess we had a good conversation about this in one of our candidate meetings, where we are going to buy back Cayman.
Yeah.
We've heard of the speculative investment in property by non-Caymanians, hoping to land bank, hoping to raise their funds, their investment over the years. We need to implement a solution where if a Caymanian is buying property from a non-Caymanian, there is no stamp duty levied, because Caymanians are going to buy back Cayman.
Yeah.
We spoke about the fixed rate bonds to ensure affordable financing. For some reason, I cannot fathom to understand why the US prime rate is then developed into the New York prime rate, and then we have the Cayman prime rate on top of that. So we have 3 layers of fluctuation, because if you borrow here in Cayman, you're paying an additional percentage point on top of the New York prime rate, which is on top of the US Fed prime rate. And that makes it unattainable for Caymanians to purchase any property. The volatility of that market is unsustainable. We also need to look at social housing. As Dan mentioned, the persons who cannot even afford a mortgage, we need to look at providing solutions for them to get onto their feet. The social housing will address those people in that bracket that can't go to a traditional bank to get a mortgage. But if we can have social housing that we have developed for transitions, for example, government can control the NAU rental pool, where they ensure that the Caymanians that they are putting in housing gets adequate housing. And that all goes back to enforcement as well. We have a lack of enforcement across the board with anything that happens in the country, and we need to address that. Housing is the first one.
Okay, we're going to talk about access to health care. And I'll start off by saying on yesterday's show, Talk Today, which I hosted in the afternoon before getting on a flight and coming here. And this morning, being in the Brac, I made it a point to share again a press release from the Health Services Authority about a physician's clinic in Little Cayman that was supposed to take place today, but had to be postponed until
next
the 23rd. I think that in itself demonstrates, what you said earlier about healthcare. In my layman's thinking, I'm saying to myself, wait a minute. I'm sure that there are retired physicians who would be more than happy to live in the serenity and quietness of Little Cayman and be there to at least assist in that process. Yes, all of the other needs, the x-rays, the CT scans and stuff like that won't happen there, but having someone there on a permanent basis to address those, headaches and those pains that a person may have overnight or something like that would be ideal. So, access to healthcare and comprehensive healthcare insurance coverage are too expensive for many Caymanians. In addition to what I just raised, what are some of the ideas that the Cayman Islands National Party has or are proposing to address the issue of healthcare?
Let you go first on
Sure.
this one. You and I go back and forth.
Especially since we mentioned Little Cayman.
Yes.
OC, Little Cayman has a dedicated nurse over there, Nurse Charmaine, and she knows the people well. She is there in an emergency. However, the people need that senior level of expertise from a doctor. Their health care matters. They are Caymanians in Little Cayman. Yet we continue to kick the can down the road. As you said, the doctor's not coming this week, the doctor's coming next week. Cayman Brac has been blessed by a non-Caymanian resident, a part-time resident out of the year who comes to Cayman Brac with his wife and serves. He's a retired veterinary doctor.
Okay.
And he serves our animal population here in Cayman Brac out of the goodwill of his heart. He is here part of the year, and he treats our animals here in Cayman Brac because we have never been provided with a full-time veterinarian. The same is true, as you mentioned. We can get a retired doctor, whether it's part-time out of the year, so at least 6 months are covered full-time in Little Cayman, that they have the access to doctoral care when it's needed. We cannot continue this thing where we have to catch a flight to go to Grand Cayman for an essential service, for an appointment. And that is one of the things that Dan and I have always spoken about, where Cayman Brac and Little Cayman deserve the medical treatment that they need for a daily basis. The population in the Sister Islands is just over 2,000. 50% of those are women. 50% of 2,000 are women here in the Sister Islands. Yet we do not have a mammogram machine in the Sister Islands. Our ladies still have to travel to Grand Cayman for preventative care, for checkups, and it's a financial burden on themselves. And we need to address that where people are taking care of here at home, because early detection matters. Their lives matter, and we are going to address that immediately. Immediately.
Yeah. Continuing on that, I mean, the reality is as follows. Where you have a small community, you do have to invest in fundamental things, regardless of the size. In addition to that, if you are going to cover it based on visiting physicians, they cannot continue to cancel their calls. And that is the consistent thing that we hear both in Cayman Brac and in Little Cayman. Added to that, we had in the Brac now finally gotten a dentist that the community were overjoyed with, who really, and the dentist in turn loved being in the Brac. Decisions have been made where this dentist was told no longer you can continue here because you don't have enough volume. Well, the reality is in the middle of the night, if a child starts with a toothache, or if a child is playing and they knock a tooth out, you got to wait till the morning to board a flight to go to Grand. The other problem, that is not good enough. We need fundamental support on these things, and the reality is we shouldn't have to wait just on volunteers to do it. When we think about what we spend, our spend must be focused on quality of life for our people. We have an aging population. My mother, in order for her, and she'll be 92 this year, for her to get a mammogram, she would have to go by air ambulance to Grand Cayman. That's the sort of stuff that, quite honestly, I can't understand what our leaders have been thinking about. And those very people on whose backs we stand today that built this place, and that is how we repay them, not good enough. We will change that.
Yeah, it's certainly not good enough, OC, because you know that the population here in the Sister Islands, Cayman Brac especially, are majority civil servants. So they're covered by CINP naturally. You can't do major surgery procedures here in Cayman Brac. So you get a referral to Grand Cayman. But did you know that if you get a referral for this surgery procedure in Grand Cayman, and you have to recover in Grand Cayman before the doctor will clear you to fly back home to Cayman Brac, CINP will not pay for your accommodation in Grand Cayman to recover.
Wow.
It is approved, it is extraordinary, and can be approved, may be approved on a case-by-case basis. So without putting the resources here in Cayman Brac, you're creating hardship on the people of Cayman Brac and Little Cayman when they travel. Not only do they have to travel, they foot the bill themselves. The health insurance and the health care is not here for our people. And we need to offer that to our people right here at home.
Okay, let's talk about the environment. It is said that excessive immigration, unplanned development, and mass tourist visitation has strained natural attractions and resources, including 7 Mile Beach and Stingray City. Fresh water supplies and waste management systems and biodiversity. And I would include in this, Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, as well, where some things are still pristine, much more pristine than they are in Grand Cayman as well. Tell us how the Cayman Islands National Party plans on addressing the whole issue of environment.
Well, maybe I'll start on this one with the focus is that we do need to focus on our environment. Once it's lost, it's lost. And I think some of the infrastructure and the ideas and the legislation in place is assisting with that. The other side of that, however, is that we do need to create balance. So, for example, in the sister islands, when we talk about a tradition, a rich tradition of Cayman Brackers and folks from Little Cayman being able to fish, and when we are establishing no fish zones without consultation, that is a challenge. And that is one of the things we must get back to. The folks of Cayman Brac and Little Cayman have a long history of being mindful of the environment. That's the land they lived off, and in particular the sea. It's something near and dear to them. And that's the area that we need to be focused on and be balanced with, not simply saying no, because no one knows better how to preserve this place than our own people. The other side of that, however, is because of the huge increase in Cayman is more so, but I'll tell you, Cayman Brac and Little Cayman seeing the same things, of a number of people who come here on work permits that are spending their time on the shorelines fishing and catching the juvenile fish. Those are things that need to be curtailed and should all require a minimum license, if not an all-out ban. And it should be preserved for Caymanians to be able to do that. So that's one of the areas that we need to focus on narrowly. And more broadly with the environment, I do believe that on major projects, things like the environmental impact assessments are critically important. On the other hand, they need to move at pace. So when we're looking at things like the East-West Arterial, we need to be able to get to a decision based on the best science, but gets there quickly, because we cannot continue to wait for people to, kids getting up at 4:30 in the morning to be able to go to Georgetown, whether it's to school or otherwise, or parents having to do that. We need to move quickly when we're dealing with these things.
Yeah, and move quickly indeed, because we need to address these issues, not just for today, but days down the road. As Dan mentioned, when the environment is gone, the environment is gone. When we've heard the chatter about Plan Cayman. We need a national development plan, a revised one. It's been outdated for far too long. It serves no purpose, because when it was created, we had a different country at the time. And of course, the first area that we wanted to address was 7 Mile Beach, because again, it was a reaction. We were addressing the problem too late. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, we're at a pivotal moment right now where we see the growth, the train wreck that happened in Grand Cayman. Infrastructure was not built at pace with population growth. Population growth was not controlled. We have an opportunity in the sister islands to say, this is where we want our sister islands to be in 10 years. Let's address it now. So while we may have to react to 7 Mile Beach now because of failures in the past, we need to be proactive in ensuring that the sister islands does not go down the same path. And that goes hand in hand with protecting our environment, because our environment is pristine here in the sister islands, and we cannot lose any of it without detrimental effect.
We know that CCMI is extremely active in Little Cayman. Can you speak to their work and whether or not Cayman Brac itself is benefiting from the work that they're doing, in the marine environment as well?
I can speak broadly to it. Nick may have more specifics. One of the things early days, and I did have a chance, this was a couple years back, to have a conversation with our folks at DOE. I'm not sure it is as collaborative in them sharing the science as much as I think the folks at DOE would have liked.
Okay.
And that I think would be really helpful. My hope, and I don't have current update on that, but it is important that that science is shared if they're operating within the Cayman Islands, because that's stuff that is going to be helpful. what they've done there is nice, and I know in particular when you get young children from school visiting and understanding the importance, because that's a big part of it, is our ongoing education. And I do believe, as I said, the majority of our folks in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman do understand and deeply care about the environment. The challenge we have is we probably have not, well, not probably, we have not done a great job of educating our visitors and our work permit holders about how critical our environment is.
Okay. There we go. Can we talk a little bit about the education system now? Why does the current education system in the Cayman Islands need urgent reform? And can you identify some of the biggest challenges that are facing young Caymanians in terms of education and employment?
So see, yeah, the education system needs to constantly evolve based on the trends of our population, the workforce needs, and everything else, planning and equipping our children for the future. One of the things that the Cayman Islands National Party is going to be championing is the introduction of TVET programs earlier in our schools, training our Caymanians to be electricians, plumbers, construction workers, all of these good paying jobs that our Caymanians can go into, but earlier, introduce them to these trades as early as year 5, so that they have a chance, if they're not wanting or not going on an academic path, they are going on a technical and vocational path, so they can still provide for themselves and their future families. And we want to introduce that earlier.
That's right. And I think the other thing that we have, when we look at today and where we're at, we're in a position where 60% of the kids graduating today from public school are not meeting required standards. And frankly, it comes back down to it's not about the kids. And for all of us, and those of us who grew up, went through school, you know that. These are bright kids. We, as a country, are failing our kids. And the world that we live in today is a knowledge-based economy, in particular in the Cayman Islands. We don't have mass manufacturing. We have none of those things. As Mr. DaCosta rightly said, we need to focus earlier. It is not just about academics, but even when we talk about technical, it includes things like computer studies. We're moving into a world where AI is front and center, and all those things need to come and be center at a very early age within the classroom, within the curriculum, because that is where we get to make a difference. It is simply not good enough that our kids today, as they're graduating, don't have the skills that are necessary. We need to refocus.
Yep, and we also need to, I would love to see more of our Caymanians going into education as well, as a profession. And, you know, one of the things that I spoke about recently at my meeting last week was that we need to grow our own educators, create a pathway where they're given the experience, they're given the training, they're given the education to be at the front of a classroom as a teacher. Previously, we had a teacher's aide program in our schools where a high school graduate could come on as a teacher's aide for a 1-year internship to get that experience. Because the current job description for an assistant teacher requires 2 to 3 years experience in the classroom, plus an associate's degree. If we were to create that pathway where they could get the hands-on experience, and then here at UCCI on the BRAC, they're able to complete their associate's degree, they're qualified at the end of their internship to be an assistant teacher. And then they can continue on, if they so choose, to be a qualified teacher.
Okay, folks, we're going to take our 10 o'clock break. We will return after because of the late start that we had, so don't change that dial. Please stay tuned. The conversation with Mr. Dan Scott and Mr. Nikolas DaCosta will continue when we return.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
The Headline News is brought to you by Kirk Market and Health Services Authority.
Radio Cayman continues its live in-studio debates tonight from Cayman Brac. This time you can tune in to hear directly from candidates vying for a seat to represent the sister islands. The debate starts at 7:30 p.m., so make sure to keep it locked right here to Radio Cayman. Tens of thousands of Spotify users around the world have reported that they are unable to use the music streaming app. Down Detector, which tracks platforms, showed more than 20,000 people reported Spotify not functioning today. Thousands more reported issues in the U.S. and parts of Europe. Spotify says it has more than 675 million users worldwide. And an election debate in Canada has been rescheduled to avoid a clash with a Montreal Canadiens hockey game. The Canadiens take on the Carolina Hurricanes on April 17th and could clinch a spot in the Stanley Cup playoffs with a victory. The French language leaders debate had been scheduled to start at the midway point of the National Hockey League fixture, but the Leaders Debate Commission said the debate will now start 2 hours earlier to, quote, recognize Canadians' passion for hockey. Those are your headlines. I'm Karsley Fuller.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
The Headline News is brought to you by Kirk Market and Health Services Authority.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Do you have a healthcare question but not sure who to ask? Contact HSA's Patient Call Center to speak to one of our experienced clinical team members. We are here to answer your questions and help guide you through your healthcare journey. Need to make an appointment? Our team can help. Contact HSA at 949-8600 or email info@hsa.ky. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you.
For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. Right here from the beautiful Cayman Brac in the studio with me, the leader of the Cayman Islands National Party, Mr. Dan Scott. He is seeking to represent the constituency of Cayman Brac East in our upcoming April 30th general elections, and Mr. Nikolas DaCosta, who is seeking to represent the constituency of Cayman Brac West and Little Cayman. He is also a member of the Cayman Islands National Party. Gentlemen, we have a few questions from our listeners. This first one says it is directed to Mr. Scott. Says, over the years, you have been versed on the financials of the turtle farm, so to speak, and conducted analysis from a macro and micro perspective. What are your intentions or insights for the turtle farm? Previously, there was a Bosun Bay project. What would you have in mind to hit profit and maintain Caymanian jobs?
I think it's fair to say that certainly in the short term, the Cayman Islands turtle farm will not be profitable. Having said that, I do think we need to continue to subsidize it because it's a big part of our heritage, both on the meat production side, on the conservation side, on the reproducing of turtles. So that is one of the things we want to continue to do. As far as tours and whatnot, certainly as we look at it today, I would say my understanding, and I haven't looked at it in recent times, but even the cost of a ticket by the time the tour is complete, you're losing money on that. And that's a decision for the people of the Cayman Islands as to whether they want to continue to invest in it, but it is going to require subsidies. We can minimize the subsidies through working with the board and otherwise, but it will need to continue to be subsidized. And even if it's limited just to rearing and meat production and reproduction of turtles, you will still need to subsidize it, which I think is really important. The other thing, and I'll put a plug in here now, is Mr. DaCosta and I were talking about earlier, the allocation as to how meat is distributed, because it is a tradition for us as Cayman Brackers, as well as those in Little Cayman, that, you know, to have turtle meat. And that's one of the things we want to make sure is that we get a fairer portion coming to the Brac and Little Cayman as well.
Indeed.
But no question, it will be something that as a government we will need to continue to support, and we will do so.
Yeah, I mean, see if I could add,
Sure.
the subsidy to the turtle farm, as we affectionately call it, is important. The Cayman Turtle Education and Conservation Center. The subsidy that the government gives to the turtle farm pays for Caymanians' jobs. It provides a cultural and traditional dish to our people, and it also protects the environment. So I think that the subsidy for the turtle farm is definitely warranted, and as Dan mentioned, it needs to continue, and I would certainly support it continuing. I would really love to see a better allocation for the sister islands as well, because currently we don't get a portion. We have to call somebody we know in Grand Cayman to go stand in line, and if they're lucky to get to the front of the line, they can get turtle for us to ship over. So we need to ensure that while we are going to support the turtle farm in the future, that our people here in the sister islands also get their fair share.
Okay, and the other question has to do with whether you believe that expats should be allowed to hold dual nationality, and should property ownership be a condition of status grants. We may not have too much control over the issue of dual nationality, because we ourselves, you know, fall under the British Nationality Act. We don't have our own nationality laws here in the Cayman Islands. But certainly, I think the question on property ownership, you know, lies within our remit.
I agree with you, and obviously, Mr. Connie, you would know it far better than any of us, the nationality and the dual nationality, and as you've described it, that's the way I've been made to understand as well. So we have limited control over that. However, as it relates to property ownership as a condition for status, that's one of the areas that at the Cayman Islands National Party we've looked at and considered, because we also are concerned that that is one of the drivers behind creating more and more of a demand for property and escalating the pricing of it as well. So that is an area that I think we're looking at, and we will probably move away from requiring that as a condition.
Yeah, no, certainly. I mean, it's common knowledge that I was a former dual citizen as well. I was born here in the Cayman Islands. I am a former American. That's the reason why I did not stand in the election in 2017. Okay. And I think that, as you mentioned, the Nationality Act, we cannot control any expats coming here to renounce their previous citizenship, because we don't know by what way they attained it. I certainly didn't apply for mine. I was a U.S. citizen born at birth, but I renounced it either way. But I think that if a person, the most important thing is, when you come to Cayman, the Cayman Islands, you integrate into the country, you integrate into the people, and you live like our people. That is the most important thing. No matter what passport you hold, if you come into this country, you live amongst us and you be kind to us. And that way we can all live together in harmony. The property ownership, again, we have a main pipeline coming into this country with different bibs shooting off everywhere. If we have a leak that is on that main pipeline, we can't repair it while the main is still on. You have to turn that tap off to fix the leak. And this property ownership driving up demand and increasing costs for Caymanians, that is a leak. And we need to address it quickly. So we need to fix the leak, turn off the pipe for a short bit just to review it, because we cannot continue letting the same activities happen while we try to address it. And that is, as Dan mentioned, that is one of the things that we're going to look at doing to ensure that the property Cayman, our soil, is not being taken by others while we suffer and can't get our piece of it.
Okay, another question. Can you please ask your guests, if they are elected, would they still support the school? Will it be completed? I'm assuming that they're referring to the new school being built here in Cayman Brac.
Yep.
So I think from our standpoint is that we both very focused that Cayman Brac and Little Cayman need major infrastructure project. And we are supportive of the idea of a new school. The question that we have, which I haven't had a good answer to date, and I think most people in both Cayman Brac and Little Cayman have, is are we getting value for money? There are other things in these infrastructure projects, including upgraded hospital, probably on the bluff. Similarly, the elderly people's home. We have things like, today we don't have a properly functioning police station and a jail cell, including in that as well. Some other infrastructure is dealing with upgrades to our port in the Brac. And also when you look at a fire station for the Eastern District and one that sits again on the bluff, because during hurricanes, it is quite a challenge to deal with it, whether the hospital, they have to move people from there up to the Aston Ruddy Center, similar with the old people home, and indeed the fire trucks have to move and up onto the bluff to avoid flooding down at the west end by the airport. So there's those sorts of things, including as part of that a school. The question we have is it value for money? And two, are Cayman Brackers getting jobs out of it? They have virtually completed 2 buildings for temporary housing for workers that will come in apparently to build this school. The cost that I am told that on a square footage basis for that building is astronomical. I'm told it is over 800 CI dollars a square foot. And so those are the questions we have to ask, because rather than just spending it or indeed wasting it in one place, the reality is we have a number of things we need to do. So money spent, you can't spend it again. And that has to be the question that we will ask and we must ask. And indeed, as you would have seen from Auditor General report after Auditor General report, that very thing continues to ring true. Are we getting value for money? And then the other really important thing, are Cayman Brackers and Caymanians getting jobs out of this? We've had the occasion where subcontractors have put in proposal but have been told, no, that's too expensive. We're going to bring in our own subs or cheaper labor to do this. That does not help this community. And when you're spending 8, 10, 50, 20, $60 million in a community of this size, that drives the economy if our people are able to get those funds in their hand. And for us, when we look at infrastructure projects, you can plan it over a period of time. It doesn't all have to happen in 2 years, 10 years, 15 years out. Those are the sorts of things that we are considering, and we will ask those questions and ensure that we do get value for money.
No, indeed, and I think we have a right to ask those questions. OC, I went to Cayman Brac High School. I went to primary school here, I went to high school here. I have lived going through that just as many generations did before me, because the school is 50 years old. I've seen that school grow where we've had to add on smaller classrooms. Our music room is a modular building. Our school hall is a modular building. So there's no argument that Cayman Brac does not need a school, or no argument that it does. I certainly agree with building a new school to serve our children. But as Dan mentioned, there are questions, and I think we have the right to ask those questions. Value for money is, could we have done it a little better? Are there things missing from it that will cost more money later on? And who are getting the jobs there? Is Cayman Brac, are our people in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman benefiting from that money coming into our economy here in the Sister Islands? And those are the important questions.
You both mentioned something, and I'm glad that Nikolas mentioned it as well, because I was going to ask it, which brings us to the question on as far as work permit policies are concerned. Mm-hmm. Right now, I'm a little bit uncertain about the situation, but you do have boards in the Brac here where work permits can be approved for Cayman Brac.
Right.
What happens when a licensed contractor over in Grand Cayman has his or her workers over in Grand Cayman, and like you've said now, the contractors in the school have threatened prices are too high here in terms of the subcontractors. We will bring ours in, and I'm presuming that it would be from Grand Cayman. Should that be allowed?
Well, and that is one of the issues that we do face here in Cayman Brac. We have actually a very able board here who considers these things, but you're absolutely right. On the one hand, then it becomes fairly seamless for a contractor to get a work permit in Cayman and just ship people over. And that is a challenge for us. And that's one of the things we got to make sure that we strike the balance on. But the most troubling part of that is when it is a government project, government has the opportunity to establish the conditions. When you are doing a project for government, it must focus on some fundamental things. And one of those critical things are jobs for Caymanians. We are approaching 40,000 work permits across the Cayman Islands. But we have a number of Caymanians that are unable to get work. And we're talking at all levels, both unskilled, skilled, well-educated Caymanians returning. And that's probably been, from my standpoint, one of the biggest drivers for me to step forward and step up, is because our Caymanians are not being given job opportunities. And then when you hear about major infrastructure projects being undertaken by government, and it is handed off to contractors who are keenly focused on bringing foreign workers in, that adds salt to the wound.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about giving work permits for people who are apprentice plumbers and electricians. When we're having our kids graduate from high school who could come in, work on these projects. And so the whole concept of training and mentoring must come back. And it must happen across all of our industries. And we must be focused and we must expect it. And that is one of the things that the Cayman Islands National Party is going to be laser focused on. I am where I am today because I came out, graduated with a degree, but I joined a firm who had a training program and they were keenly focused on it. And we all know when you graduate, you have a bag of tools, but you have no experience, right? And you need people to mentor, guide, and shape you. We had that. We will insist that that is back. Today, people are graduating, coming back with engineering degrees and going to approach a construction company or an engineer, and they're told, no, you need to go back to the UK and get experience. Well, guys, that's not good enough. And it's not something that we find acceptable, and it's so we will do, as Nick described earlier, you have sort of the main pipeline coming in, and that has to do with overall immigration policy, which is seriously flawed at this stage, and we will make the changes as a priority to focus it back that Caymanians must be put first.
Is it DaCosta?
Yep, no, the fundamental problem is that there are too many loopholes in our trade and business license law and our immigration law. We had an issue recently where, after COVID, we saw an influx of real estate agents from Grand Cayman trying to sell our land in Cayman Brac, and it's still happening. And it's creating a problem where they're applying Grand Cayman valuations and Grand Cayman prices to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman's land, are artificially inflating the value and are artificially making it out of reach for our Caymanians. In addition to that, we've always had the practice where, as you mentioned, we have an immigration board for Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, but not a trade and business license board. Because those people are on the ground, they understand the needs here in Cayman Brac. And we've always been told that businesses who are licensed to operate in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman can't do business in Grand Cayman because we pay a reduced fee. Whereas businesses in Grand Cayman can operate wherever they want. So that limitation is on us, and it creates this stranglehold on us because of a loophole in the law. I've had an issue where a business in Grand Cayman was putting in a bid for a job here in Cayman Brac, taking away from businesses who are established here in Cayman Brac. And I've been reliably informed from the Department of Commerce and Investment through advice from the Attorney General that on a work permit and on a trade and business license, it gives the ordinary location of a business. Now they are saying that that location is where the office is based, but you're allowed to compete anywhere in the country. But then they'll still tell our Cayman Brac businesses that no, you can't come to Grand Cayman and do business.
Double standard.
It's a double standard. It's a loophole that is affecting our people here in the Sister Islands, our business owners, and it needs to be closed. And that is why the reforms, every single piece of legislation needs to be looked at in how it affects the people of Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Those issues are real, and they're keeping us back.
They may recall me back to Grand Cayman when the show is over, but I want to ensure that you gentlemen get the time because of our late start and everything. I want to give both of you an opportunity for some closing comments to talk about the activities that you have planned, for up until the 30th or the 29th of April, as well. Here in Cayman Brac, as well as in Grand Cayman as well. I guess we'll start with you, Nikolas, and then let the president, the chair, have the final word.
Thank you, OC. Well, yes, between now and Election Day, I have a meeting in Little Cayman on the 23rd of April, next week, Wednesday. Of course, that leads into the mobile voting in Little Cayman on the 24th, mobile voting in Cayman Brac on the 25th. And then we have our party functions that are coming in the last 4 days leading up to the election. So I'll let Dan speak about those dates. But I am, as I mentioned earlier, what we have been talking about are issues that have not developed overnight. These issues have been festering and growing over the last 4, 8, 12, 20 years. And we need to address them now. We need to be proactive and formulate a plan for the future. And that is what I am seeking to do when elected. The foresight, the forward-thinking planning, and being proactive in protecting our sister islands, in protecting our people here, and ensuring that we have the same rights as all other Caymanians, and that we are not overlooked, overshadowed by anybody else. So that is my plan, the 23rd of April in Little Cayman, and then we're back to Cayman Brac for all of the other dates. Dan, take it away.
Yeah. So the other dates, as Mr. DaCosta said, is on the 26th. We're having a full party rally, and all of our colleagues from Grand Cayman will be coming over, and we'll have a full party rally at the Captain's Retreat, which is...
What date is that again?
That is on the 26th, Saturday
Great.
the 26th at 6:30, and that will be at the Captain's Retreat in the Creek, 396. And then on the 29th, we will have, Mr. DaCosta and I will have a rally at Scott's Dock, again at 6:30 on the 29th, the night before the election. And in the meantime, we're out and about and looking forward to catching up with our folks over here. And I will be joining him as well. I'll join Nick in Little Cayman next Wednesday, his meeting over there. So much to be done, much we'll continue to do. And the truth is as we look at where we're at, and as rightly pointed out, over the last many, many years, I mean, you're staying at this lovely hotel here in the Brac, which we all enjoy.
Yeah.
The question is how many Caymanians do you see serving you? And as you go around, that's the question. It used to be that you would come, and not only here, but in Grand Cayman as well, it was served, there were Caymanians in this very important industry of tourism, and they delivered high quality service. And that's why many people came, and most importantly, that's why they came back, right? They built relationships, they built friendship. Today, that is not the case. And we ask the question why, and I would suggest a big part of it is because our people cannot live on what is being paid in salaries to these folks. And we need to change that. We need to get back to where jobs are available in Cayman Brac, in Little Cayman for our Caymanians, and similarly in Grand Cayman. That is the stuff that we are laser focused on. Things like cost of living, healthcare, looking after the elderly, jobs, jobs, jobs. Caymanians must come first. So thank you so very much, and thank you for coming over to the Brac and hosting this, and we look forward to seeing you more often. And we look forward to doing one in Little Cayman as well.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Gentlemen,
thank you.
It has been my pleasure. Thank you for making yourselves available, and looking forward to seeing you later on this evening, as well. So we're going to throw it back over to our folks in Grand Cayman, if you're going to recall me, just call Cayman Airways and reschedule me for whatever early flight today. But, you know, we had a very meaningful discussion, both discussions with Mr. Lonny Tibbetts as well as with Mr. Dan Scott and Mr. Nikolas DaCosta. And shows us, you know, what the Cayman Islands, what we're all about at the end of the day. And that final word is that we are all Caymanians.
Exactly.
And we all have this country at heart.
Oh, for sure.
We all love it.
Yeah,
You know, no one loves it any better than the other,
Yeah,
the other as well. So, gentlemen, look forward to seeing you folks over in Grand Cayman. We're going to throw it back over to you. Thank you for listening to For the Record this morning. Our pleasure to be able to be broadcasting from Cayman Brac. Please stay tuned.
For the Record, proudly brought to you by
Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. And JN Money. From abroad to yard. Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctor's Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctor's Hospital. Always there for you. Call 949-6066. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Kirk Market. Experience a world of choice. And the Cayman Islands National Museum. Explore captivating exhibits and learn about our unique heritage and culture.
Shaken yet standing firm. This is Radio Cayman.